Welcome to the FanSharp Focus. I'm Ethan Skolnick. I'm here with our guy in Memphis, Anthony Sane. You can find him on Sports 56 Mornings and 98.5. We're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans. Their season is over. They lose 20-13 to the Baltimore Ravens. The defense played, I think, better than people expected, but they couldn't get anything going offensively after starting the game 10-0. You and I talked last week about Ryan Tannehill and whether this was a referendum on him in any way. Threw for under 160 yards, had one pick, although it wasn't really his fault. How do you feel about how Tannehill showed up in the playoff game?
Well, I think he had a good effort. I think he could have given more. Had a crucial turnover in the beginning of the game, even though it wasn't particularly his fault. He's still the quarterback, so he's got to go down with the interception. Um, just a tough loss for the Titans. We talked about Lamar Jackson and how dangerous he is and how he can swing the momentum of a game. And when the Titans got up 10-0 and weren't able to capitalize, and Lamar Jackson just started doing Lamar Jackson things, and he got back in the game. Ultimately, took the lead. And the Titans were in a place where they didn't want to be, trying to come back from behind. Started off with a very good start. Couldn't get Derrick Henry going. But once Lamar Jackson started being Lamar Jackson, it turned into a totally different game. And the Titans, kind of blew some opportunities, letting Lamar Jackson, get loose and kind of do his thing.
Yeah, we talked about that. They had to get ahead, but then the problem was staying ahead. Derrick Henry didn't seem too happy, too, about not getting the normal carries he gets. And Corey Davis was only targeted twice. I believe only had one reception. So they just didn't get much offensively from any of them. And then you mentioned the Lamar Jackson, kind of the one real big play that swung everything. When you look at the season in totality, though, 11-5, Mike Vrabel's obviously done a good job there, but there's a certain point they can't seem to get past. How does that happen?
Well, they have to make some changes. There are a lot of question marks this summer. Their offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, is getting some eyes as a possible head coaching candidate. They already didn't have a defensive coordinator this season, so going to have to make some crucial hires. So those, of course, are crucial hires under underneath your head coach. Like you said, Derrick Henry didn't get enough carries to kind of abandon the run game. Not really sure. I mean, I know Baltimore did their thing, but you got to live and die by Derrick Henry. Tannehill has the capabilities of winning games, but you still should have tried to see what you had more in Derrick Henry. It seems like to me. In the draft, I think they probably need to look at their pass rush. They need some help on the defensive line. A lot of good guys out there they can take a look at. Has some other question marks they need to fill, but the Titans have to have a very aggressive offseason, in my opinion, just to fill some holes, shore up their defense that we all had questions about that we talked about last week, and just hopefully they can get those things done. But those coordinator positions are going to be crucial, especially if Arthur Smith takes a job somewhere else.
No doubt. A.J. Brown emerged this year, actually had a big touchdown catch in the game, so they got one playmaker there, but just generally here. Can you win big in the modern NFL by basically counting on pounding the rock as much as they do? Because most teams have gotten away from that, Anthony. This team relied on it, it seemed, until it mattered most, and then they got away from it in that game. But just structurally, can you build a team? We see what Kansas City's doing. It's tough to beat teams like that can drop 40 on you. Baltimore's not that kind of team, but even Tennessee couldn't get muster more than 13 points against them. Do you need to build this thing differently, more explosiveness maybe?
I think you do. The running game is still definitely important in today's NFL, but you have to have a balanced attack. If your running game you're so dependent on it where teams can scheme against you and you don't have anything to counter, I think it puts you in a bad position. I think the Titans get caught up their way a lot. We saw that with the way the Baltimore played Derrick Henry. It caused the Titans to abandon it, but they didn't really have many other alternatives. There are a lot of wide receivers available in the first round. I think they should look defensively first, but there are a lot of good wide receivers in college football, period. And I think the Titans should try to find one with one of their later picks. Just try to expand that offense. Got to open up the playbook as well. Got to be willing to try new things. Just again, while we talked about that offensive coordinator hire, if needed, if Arthur Smith takes another job, it could be a very crucial hire. But the Titans, that's kind of been the thing here in Tennessee. We have always kind of dealt the Tennessee Titans having a team that's pretty good on defense, strong running game. Over the years, some of the great running backs that have come through here. But it's always been the thing of, is their offense going to be able to score enough points in the past? Even when we had Steve McNair here, it still was always a question of how good their offense could be outside of running the ball. So I think that's something they definitely need to address.
And no doubt, at times the coach needs to be more aggressive too, because Vrabel basically gave up on that 4th and 2 play, and I think at times you got to be more aggressive, particularly in a playoff game. Give your team a chance to win. That's Anthony Sane. You can find him on Sports 56 in Memphis or 98.5 0.5.